Thank you, Mr. Tian Chua, for reminding us just what exactly is at stake in Malaysia and what a police state Malaysia has become. It's perhaps fitting on this the 50th anniversary year of the ISA that we welcome also a second former ISA detainee, the second of three this afternoon. And a fellow victim of the Malaysian police and criminal justice system. He probably needs very little introduction because you're all familiar with him through Malaysia Today, whom he's a very famous editor. So I will now call upon Petra to address you.
So much. This is the mic, is it? Yes, I'm the third ISA detainee come outlaw to be speaking to you here. The only thing is, the first two are still facing charges, and I got no more charges. My charges have been dropped. So, contrary to what they say, I'm not a fugitive in the UK. I'm an exile. A fugitive has charges hanging over his head. I have no charges hanging over my head. You know, I am in exile. And well, we hope Dr. Sri Anwar will be able to fight the charges against him on grounds that there's actually absolutely no evidence. And Tian Chua also, I believe, is fighting policeman cases. But at least that proves one thing: Tian Chua's bite is worse than his bark. Now, a few days ago, I got a call from Malaysia. You know, nowadays with Skype, we can do video conferencing, and we conference sometimes with friends in Australia, friends in America, friends in Malaysia, Singapore, all at the same time, doing this conferencing, work conferencing. So we had this little conference going on. And members of the civil society movements in Malaysia wanted to know one thing. There's a new by-election coming up soon, the 12th by-election since 2008. What's our stand? What are the civil society movements, movement activists going to do with regards to this coming by-election? Are we going to support it? Are we going to campaign in the by-election as what we have done so in the 11 by-elections before this? Or are we going to abstain and not participate, not support Pakatan? So I asked him, what do you guys want to do? He says, well, we leave it to you. If you say we support, we support. If you say we boycott, we boycott. But whatever it is, if you want us to support, give us a reason why we should support. So, we had a 1-hour conference, and to cut a long story short, the brunt of the dissatisfaction or unhappiness of the civil society movements in Malaysia is basically this. Prior to the March 2008 general election, we, the civil society movements, sat down for months to put a lot of effort into polishing a document which we call the People's Declaration, which some of you probably have received a copy here. This People's Declaration, or Deklarasi Rakyat, was actually an improved version of an earlier document, which was called Agenda Perubahan, or Agenda for Change. And the Agenda for Change, the author to the Agenda for Change is no other than Dr. Sri Anwar himself, who sat in Sungai Buloh prison in 1998, not knowing whether he's going to ever see daylight, or even if he does, probably 10 or 20 years later, before he's going to be a free man. And he sat there, just like Jose Rizal, penning his last goodbye to the Filipino people. And he sat there Datuk Seri Anwar, and he penned in his handwriting Agenda Perubahan, or a document called Agenda for Change. Since then, a lot of changes have happened in the country, so even the Agenda for Change had to be changed. And we came up with an improved version, version 2.01 if you wish, and we called it Deklarasi Rakyat, People's Declaration. And we presented this to the political parties in February 2008. And it was agreed not only by the 3 Pakatan Rakyat members, but also by MDP, PSN, and PASO, the 3 other non-Pakatan Rakyat political parties. And they accepted this as the platform, as the foundation for change. And more or less, this was to be the election manifesto of all those political parties contesting in the general election 2 years ago. Because of that, we went to the ground. The civil society movements and bloggers, we went to the ground. And we campaigned. We crisscrossed the length and breadth of Malaysia until I was banned from going to Penang. The police issued a ban and did not allow me to give a ceramah in Penang for whatever grounds, I don't know. And but I still went and ceramah anyway. No, I ceramah along just one street in Penang. Actually, it's a gangster area, Chinese area. And I was protected by the local Sapak Lobon, you know. And the street was called Jalan Raja Tun Muda, who happens to be my grandfather. And of course the police came and said, you know, we have issued a ban, you're not supposed to ceramah. You think what is your grandfather's road? I don't know, yeah, my grandfather, Raja Tun Muda. That's why I ceramah on that street. Anyhow, we swept 5 states and we denied Barisan Nasional 2/3 majority. And we actually, if you look at the votes here, we got 50% of the votes. Even though we did not get 50% of the seats. And all Pakatan Rakyat needed was an additional 300,000 votes. That's all. An additional 300,000 votes, and today, Pakatan Rakyat is the federal government of Malaysia. But we had 4 million Malaysians not registered as voters. 1 million of them live outside Malaysia. Now you could have got 10% of those 4 million, not all even, 10% of those 4 million to register as voters. And if we could have got the laws changed, where you people, Malaysians living outside Malaysia, are able to go to the Malaysian High Comm or the Malaysian Embassy and vote, Barisan Nasional's dead. And I can then go back to Malaysia and operate for Putrajaya. So we, the civil society movement, see that we have a role to play. And we do have a role to play as a third force. I do not mean a third political party. A third force does not have to be a political party. We are already a third force. Bersih was a third force back in November 2007. Hindraf was a third force back in November 2007. And all these third forces came together. We combined our efforts. We united the NDISA movement, the Bersih group, the Hindraf group, the bloggers group. We all got together and we gave Barisan Nasional a run for their money, and they almost got kicked out of power.